The European Union and German international corporations to construct 4 modern police stations in the Greater Banjul area. Solar energy has become an alternative electricity supply for many Nigerians thanks to its cost-effective. And Gambia's police have begun investigation into the death of a 2-year-old boy. Well, this and more coming ahead on The World Today. This is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, German International Corporation and the European Union on Wednesday laid down foundation stone for the construction of 4 model police stations in the Greater Banjul area. The groundbreaking ceremony took place at the Serekunda police station. Moses Imendi has the details in this report.
In addition to capacity building and development trainings to equip security components in the ongoing strive for security sector reforms, the Gambia Police Force is set to benefit from a joint German-EU support project implemented by the German International Cooperation (GIZ) and co-funded by the EU. Through the support, a foundation stone for the construction of 2 model police stations in Serekunda and Bundung respectively has been laid today to mark the commencement of works. The construction of the 4 model police stations is inspired by the drive to meet quality standard of law enforcement infrastructure in the country. It is to be done by the Santayala Business Center after emerging winners of a competitive bidding process. The 4 model police stations are expected to reach full completion by June next year. To Corrado Pampaloni, the EU ambassador to the Gambia, the occasion is a watershed moment in the history of the Gambia Police Force. He gave details of the facilities of the model police stations to be erected.
Among other facilities, the model police station to be erected here in Serekunda and Bundung will include a reception area, separate interview rooms for criminal investigation and sexual and gender-based violence, crimes and offenses. These interview rooms will accord victims the much-needed privacy that was lacking at the police station hitherto. Exhibit stores for proper storage of evidentiary materials recovered from crime scenes or during criminal investigations. Separate detention facility for male, females, and juveniles. These facilities will be removed from public view to protect the human rights of the detainees. Meeting rooms for internal briefings and meeting with community members for community policing purposes. Kitchenette for the officers to take their meal breaks, sanitary facilities for police officers, detainees and visitors, and of course, adequate offices for the officers to serve their respective community.
The EU ambassador hopes that the construction of the police stations will spur proactive policing, better treatment of inmates, as well as significant reduction of crime in the Greater Banjul area. Dr. Marion Pop, country component manager of the GIZ, said, for the police force to meet the minimum standard of best practices, model police stations must be rehabilitated. She also spoke of the agreed points at consultative meetings with actors.
And how can we ensure that these buildings last for the next 50 years, or 70, as Akalo mentioned? All these points were discussed and agreed on in consultative meetings with the GPF, as well as with other international partners such as UNDP, UNICEF, and DCAF. There was agreement that model police stations should have holding cells for suspects in police custody that provide enough space so that they fulfill human rights standards. Women and men in police custody should be kept separate, sanitary facilities should be accessible. There should be a separate room for the child welfare unit. This is important so that survivors of gender-based violence and children can feel safe and comfortable to report their cases. Last but not least, a police station should also provide a conducive working environment for police officers. Yesterday, I visited police stations in URR. There, police stations are in a very desolate condition. And I heard police officers say that being transferred to such a station was regarded as punishment. So this, of course, is not an acceptable situation. It will not encourage professional policing if police officers feel punished.
Mamadou Sow, Deputy Inspector General of the Police, speaking on behalf of the Inspector General, said, "The project is a fruit of high-level discussions between ministries responsible for foreign and internal affairs with German counterparts," adding that the police force is entitled to evolvement.
As the police is insuated to oversee the continuation of society, it is imperative that the police and the society move side by side in order to meet the trying times of society. Because if society is evolving and the police is not evolving, one of them will be left behind. And these are two institutions that go side by side. They can't follow one another. So in that endeavor, it is imperative that as long as society's changes is not predicted and is not controlled by the police, but the other way around. As far as society is changing, the police should be changing. The police should be changing. So an infrastructural refurbishment is an integrated part of trying to catch up in that particular adventure.
The GIZ and the Gambia Police Force also agreed on various outcome areas such as enhancement of human capacity including gender equality, professionalization of community policing, provision of policing equipment, training of personnel to handle sexual and gender-based violence. Moses Imende, Eyeafrica News.
The European Union and partners to support the Gambia's police with the construction of 4 modern police stations within the Greater Banjul area. Now to Europe next, because Spain has witnessed its most severe drought in more than 1,000 years, with the nation's reservoir on average just half full, the Environment Ministry reports. Now deadly wildfire swept the continent while several countries experience high record temperatures, leaving citizens worried about the situation. While climate change experts warn that these high temperatures could continue for some time, they are also calling for mitigating measures. Here's more details of that in this report.
This is the Atarra Reservoir Dam near Madrid. It was built over 50 years ago when the dictator Francisco Franco was still in power. It was initially designed as a backup reserve in case water levels dropped in the capital, but a lot has changed since then. Today its capacity is around 60% of what it should be for this time of the year. The drought crisis across Spain is now very real. As far west as Extremadura, similar concerns are being raised. Their running water is now full of residue because the water table has dropped to critically low levels.
Our climate model projections show that temperatures will keep increasing and that we might see a decrease in rainfall. It will be like this for the whole of Spain. We can already see temperatures are rising. As this situation evolves, we will have to take action according to the needs of each area.
Now here in Spain, 10 of the hottest summers on record have come in this century, and that's having a huge impact on the country's water reserves. And normally seasonal rains in May would see the water levels increase in reservoirs like this and others around the country. However, an earlier than expected heat wave saw rapid evaporation. What's more, experts are warning that these rising temperatures and longer summers are set to be part of the Spanish landscape for some time to come.
Let's come back to the West African region because the increasing cost of electricity supply in Nigeria is forcing citizens to turn to solar energy as an alternative. While some citizens embrace the power supply initiative, it doesn't come without some noticeable challenges. However, some local energy companies are working on plans to ease some of the constraints faced by the consumers. Let's have more details of that in this report.
People around the street in Lagos call this building the solar house, and it's for obvious reasons. Apart from the solar panels on the rooftop, the fence lights are also solar powered. Eberin Joko's home has been running on solar energy for over 2 years now. She says since then, her home has enjoyed uninterrupted power supply.
It keeps my home going. It saves me so much money. I can't imagine running a diesel generator at this time when the cost of diesel is 800 naira per liter. It's quite expensive, and I must say solar has helped me. It's very cost effective. It's very cost effective.
At the time Njoko installed solar in her home, the cost of diesel and petrol were still low. But with rising energy costs, many homes are now embracing solar as an alternative energy. Solar experts are forecasting the trends to continue.
If you're going to build a house now, just factor in your building that you're going to put solar panels on the roof or sections of the roof. Do it that way, because you will definitely come back to solar panels, no matter how it is. Even if the power becomes available, even if diesel becomes back to 200 naira and power, you are going to need solar panels.
Making the switch to solar doesn't come cheap though. The high cost of installation has been a big inhibiting factor.
I guess in this case, the banks or the government has to come in to play. Just like when people were buying cars, there was this scheme that was going on one time where you could buy a car and pay a certain percentage and pay over time. Now, that system can be adopted for solar and inverter products too.
Indeed, some local energy firms are finding a way around the issue of cost.
We have an integrated technology that we've built into each of our systems that you can sell it and allow people to pay in installments. If they default, the system will not work.
Njoko is one of the beneficiaries of the Energy Payment Initiative. She's since paid off the total cost.
We advise people, especially those businesses who are into solar, to try to break down the payment, try to spread the payment for consumers so that they get more people to subscribe to solar.
The government is also thinking solar. It's planning a $1 billion investment for 1,000 megawatts of solar energy to power 5 states in the north of the country. It's banking on the project to be the game changer in Nigeria's electricity crisis. But getting the funding for the project has so far proved a challenge.
That report that is coming from the Nigerian capital, Abuja. Now to the northern part of the continent, because Tunisian citizens, like in many countries, are struggling to put food on their table thanks to the rapidly soaring prices of food commodities. Authorities of the North African nation attributed the prevailing economic hardship to several factors, including the escalating geopolitical crisis in Eastern Europe. The government is, however, working with international partners to alleviate the burden on the citizenry. Here's more details of that in this report.
Tunisia's state-run statistics agency says food situation in the first half of year indicates a sharp deterioration in citizens' overall purchasing power. This is amid an unprecedented rise in food balance deficit, which authorities have blamed on the Ukraine crisis. Cost of living in Tunisia has surged in recent months, with inflation accelerating to 8.1% in June. Consumers say the situation is getting worse.
All food products are more expensive. The hike is around 50% and not 8% as the government claims. Putting food on the table is a daily problem. Our purchasing power is at the lowest level. This situation is unbearable.
Authorities said that the food trade balance posted a deficit of $494 million in June 2022 against $255 million during the same period in 2021. This deficit is mainly due to the increase in the rate of grain imports, sugar and vegetable oils, which rose by between 49% and 141% during this period.
Consumers are angry, but we are also victims of this food crisis and the food balance deficit. I increased the purchasing budget by more than 50%, but I cannot fill my store with fresh food products. Now even sugar, vegetable oil and wheat are not available in the market. We don't understand how a crisis abroad could affect us this way.
The Tunisian Minister of Trade and Export Development explained that the prices of grain products have skyrocketed, with durum wheat jumping 90% compared to last year. Prices of other grain products, such as soft wheat, barley and maize, were up by a range of between 44% to 55%, mainly due to the escalating conflict in Eastern Europe.
Our department is controlling the food distribution channels to limit the impact of inflation and ensure the availability of subsidized food and agricultural products. The ongoing crisis abroad has a direct impact on the state budget and consumers.
The Tunisian Institute of Strategic Studies has recommended consolidating food security in 2022-2023. In a bid to alleviate the situation, the Tunisian government has signed a $130 million loan agreement with the World Bank to boost the country's food capacity. This financing will also support Tunisia's capacity to supply grain.
And you're watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul and from that reporter in Tunisia. We now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The Gambia OIC Secretariat, in collaboration with the Office of the President and Imogam Hotels and Resorts, wishes to invite the general public to the foundation stone laying of a 5-star Radisson Blue Hotel by the President of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Adama Barrow, on Saturday, 23rd July 2022 at 4 p.m. The construction of a 5-star hotel is one of the key priority projects in preparation for the forthcoming OIC Heads of State and Government Summit. The hotel will have 400 rooms, including 60 presidential and royal suites. The 5-star hotel will ensure the guests receive a befitting accommodation experience. Additionally, it will diversify our tourism portfolio by providing luxurious accommodation facilities for high-end tourists. Let's come out and support this massive development.
Welcome back. This is Eyeafrica TV and you are with the World Today News Bulletin, coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And let's now look at the rest of the stories. And next we head to Sudan, where of course a recently dead land dispute has further triggered new protests in Sudan. The country's House of People are demanding justice for dozens of their comrades killed during a clash with rival groups. Now, while the authorities are initiating measures to curb the ethnic differences, some of the protests blame the army who fueled the protest. Here's more details of that in this report.
Yet another protest march in the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. But this time, it's a demonstration to denounce the killing of dozens of people in last week's Blue Nile state clashes. Some Sudanese are now seeking justice for their loved ones affected by the ongoing tensions.
We will not abandon our rights. We have been surprised and betrayed. We do not have weapons. We are fighting for our rights, not individuals within our tribe.
Some of the demonstrators are accusing the military of fueling the tribal conflict.
Accusing the military component of fueling tribal conflict is not logical. It is not in the interest of the military to cause a security breach. The military is responsible for security and stability.
It is necessary to have a willingness on the part of the authority so as to deal quickly with any tensions in Khartoum, given that Khartoum can affect the overall situation in Sudan.
The demonstrators are urging the Sudanese Sovereign Council to play a bigger role in securing and protecting those affected by the clashes. Meanwhile, the country's technical committee of the Security and Defense Council has ordered a regional security committee to strengthen measures to prevent further escalation of intercommunal tensions in the Blue Nile state.
And from the report in Sudan, let's end this news edition with a statement from the police. Now, the Office of the Inspector General of Police says it has begun investigation a case relating to the sudden death of a child under suspicious circumstances. In a statement, the police revealed that the child, a 2-year boy, Mohammed, is son of Fatungone Mbai, resident of Latri Kunda Sabiji, and currently a subject of an alleged rape trial at the Bundun High Court involving worker Bob Keita as accused person. On Sunday, 10th July 2022, disturbing reports were received concerning the untimely death of the said child under negligent circumstances, prompting the police to open a swift probe into the circumstances surrounding the incident. According to the police, an investigation panel was quickly constituted to thoroughly investigate the case with a view to prosecute all individuals found wanting in the death of the child. Accordingly, facts revealed that on Sunday, 3rd July 2022, between 1600 hours and 1700 hours at Bruceby in the West Coast region, the child, Mohammed, was left inside a vehicle unattended with doors and windows locked. Now, the child passed away in the vehicle and was rushed to Afrimed Clinic, then later referred to Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital and subsequently flown to Dakar on Monday, 4th July 2022. He was accompanied to Dakar by Sena Mbai, sister to Fatungone Mbai, where he died eventually. Now, subsequently, the panel took immediate steps as follows. Home visit was conducted at the family house of Sena Mbai when news of the death of the child in Dakar was confirmed. 2 individuals, namely Cherno Mbai and Kebele Tembele, arrested for their role or involvement in the incident leading to the death of the child. They are currently helping the police in the investigations. And of course, with that, though, I'm afraid we are going to bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.